The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour. And as always, we come to you at the appointed time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
And we got a bunch of stuff going on here today. See, the last tick says we're down 6 points on the S&P cash. I think a lot of people are way in front of a good earnings report from Microsoft. We'll find out tonight right after the bell closes. Of course, the overlying, what would a good word to be? The biggest issue, I think, all week is China is closed. We may be seeing a lot of overhang from that. Maybe they're getting in or out of the market's hard to tell. Options rollover pretty much completes tomorrow morning from options expiration. They always have to get new positions on or off. It's not uncommon for them to push markets around, especially stocks around during this time to get options in and out of the market. Google, in fact, I think it's on TV right now, is getting yet another antitrust suit. And I find that very interesting. Of course, we talked yesterday on the show a little bit about the original founders coming back and starting to work again under threat of a chat GPT. I don't know. Always got a bunch of initials there. And this morning, on that vein, I posted a link, which I thought was pretty funny. No one really commented about it. I don't know if they had the hint that it was a website designed by Chat GB. Overarching? I think that's a good word. Anyway, a whole fake website generated by AI, which I thought was fairly interesting. But they've got it set up now where it'll pretty much put in everything and make it kind of look like you know what you're talking about. With a bunch of big buzzwords. That's it. One of the spokesmen for the Department of Energy basically let the cat out of the bag. I don't know, not exactly sure why cats are in bags, but he let it out. And that is that they've lost pricing power worldwide against the Russian oil embargo since they started letting fuel out. We talked a little bit, maybe 45 days ago, maybe 30 days ago, about just how many of these giant overseas tankers full of fuel that they pushed back into the market to get that money out. So we're kind of funding the war on the armament side in the Ukraine, and funding it on the energy side so they can make their own weapons in Russia. So we're on both sides of the coin on this issue. But kind of interesting to see that they're just basically admitting that they don't have any real pricing, not pressure, but control right now of that oil deal they made with Russia. So maybe this is just the start of the 100-year war. Unclear, but certainly we're not fighting it like it is something that is worth winning, and probably why so many wars have gone on that we've been in for so long. But I don't know. I do digress. Also in China news, they have bought more 3-year natural gas contracts than any time in history by anybody. So I think they think a low and 3-year natural gas is close to being in or good enough that they've bought a huge amount of forward on natural gas at the current prices. So that's kind of the wrap up. As I said, I think a lot of people are getting way over the tips of their skis, but we will find out later. At the moment, is volume exciting? No. Is it massively light? No. Got about 6.8 billion shares, which is a little lighter than the 7.2 or so billion shares we had the start of yesterday's show. We'll see how this comes in, and whether or not anybody blinks before Microsoft comes out. But that's kind of it. We're going to go through a lot of the movers and shakers. There's many of them. So we'll go through the charts on them, and then we'll start talking about earnings after the bell tonight. As I said, kind of the overarching thing is China's closed, but I also wonder whether or not that isn't their money that's coming in for a week, why they can't trade or do anything. I always wonder the wisdom of closing down a stock market for an entire week. Are we seeing a hedge, a China hedge over on this side, or just the money coming here to play? But certainly from Wall Street, the notional value of dollars in the dark pools, a fairly good sign that Wall Street is not behind the nice pop we have here. 877-927-6648. What else do we have? Let's do a little history, and then we shall move on, shall we not?
There it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day in 1984, Apple Computer launches the Macintosh computer with a demonstration of the computer in front of 3,000 people. Why the Apple Lisa was the first commercial computer with a graphical interface. The Macintosh would bring graphical computing and computing in general to the rest of us, end quotes, as Apple's early slogan for Macintosh claimed. Why not as commercially successful as Microsoft DOS and later Windows? There was no doubt that the innovations of Macintosh pushed the entire computer industry ahead and continued to do so to this day. Well, I may not agree with the end of it. Probably the most interesting thing to me was they would have been bankrupt in 1985, left to their own devices. Occasionally, you have the thing which is called a killer app. And a lot of times, you just happen to be standing in the right place when lightning strikes. And that is what happened with the Macintosh. It was a failure most of the way through 1985. But what happened? Somebody walked through the door with a thing called a desktop publishing app hooked up to a laser printer, which came from a company called Kyocera. They put together a package. Desktop publishing was formed, and it saved Microsoft for the next 2 years. Not enough that they did not force the original founder, Steve Jobs, out. And I think he finally left in 1987 and spent 10 years in the wilderness, wandering the blighted plains of Silicon Valley to come back to it, I think, midsummer 1997. Sell when you can, not when you have to. We'll be back in a minute.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kegstad's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kegstad breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month. And try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network at CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
One of the first questions is, can I comment about this morning's flash crash? And I've looked everywhere high and low. I have not seen anybody that I know that I trust on what was going on in the markets, pre-market, why so many things failed. I can take you back to 2010 and 2011 when it took 2 years or 3 years to find out that there was smacking going on. They just didn't want to admit it. So who knows? They're not saying, in case you are not familiar with the internal bowels of the stock market, it has nothing to do with what you see on TV. Out in a little part of New Jersey, there is the most secure place in the United States. Most people would think, Area 51, got to make sure those aliens don't peek their heads out and people start seeing them. Pretty secure. More secure, that little place in New Jersey that they've gone to painting all of the windows, doors, everything with a silver paint to keep RF signals in and out, to moats. And man, it's been a little while since I saw a few specials on it. They tend not to even talk about it anymore. I guess the first rule of having a stock market that's a faux stock market, like the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, is that you got to make them believe that there is something there, which there isn't. It's all just a bunch of computers whirling away. And no sign of the what are those guys that used to be on MTV that would always go to the Jersey Shore? I forget what they are. Anyway, no sign of those guys, but just a lot of double top secret stuff in New Jersey. And when they get hacked, they lie, and about 2 years later, you find out they were hacked. Now, it could have been just the somewhat of a issue with, technology, but you don't know. They do lie. So, and my best friend in this part of the business took a bunch of cash after irritating everyone in the market by letting everybody know the truth. We don't have him anymore. He used to be from Nanex, and I checked his Twitter feed from here or there, but they made him quit trading for the mere sum of hundreds of millions of dollars. So maybe I'd shut up. You just give me a couple $100 million. 877-927-6648. Maybe we'll have more on this later. We'll find out. But I checked all the usual suspects when it comes to the in the knows. Even my deep, dark, secret inside guy at the Chicago Board of Trade and Options Exchange, he's got nothing. So we will find out later. Okay, let's start looking at stocks that have moved, and we'll talk about the ones that are going to move after the bell tonight. Brown and Brown. Well, what has Brown got for you today? Well, certainly not a name change. I think if I was named Brown, I might change it. UPS tried that for a while. It didn't do them any good. Certainly, what will Brown do for you? Ugh. All I can think of it is Serial Mom and what she called, had to say what the Brown word was. Brown & Brown Insurance down to 57.51 on the low today, back around just a hair above 59. And volume's not all that exciting, but news wasn't either on that. To a nice little spike on DR Horton, but again, not much going on there. Again, volume's okay. In phase is kind of out of phase. Of course, the big EV inverter maker playing around at the lows. Not much action on that one today. I mean, it is a little lower, but I wouldn't say that if you saw that happening on any other day, it would make any raise any hairs on the back of your neck. General Electric, well, let's just call him Private Electric now, since he's not very much a general anymore. But, they've got one good thing, and that is they make jet engines. The rest of their businesses are crap. But, what can you say? Sideways on it. Halliburton. What a spike out here. $43 for the high. It's back down pretty much around the lows of the day. $39.18. I'm not exactly sure how much the coming to God moment for the Energy Department on them losing total control of pricing on Russia had anything to do with this. But we shall persevere, but just hanging around the lows today. And again, end of the world, no, but a little depressing on what we should be seeing for especially Halliburton that does a lot out here. Now, if you want a nasty candle, and we're talking Janet Jackson, kind of nasty, and not nasty boy, we're talking a nasty candle with J&J opened up about a little over 175, got down to 166.01. Right now, 168.11. So kind of about the same price it went out yesterday on. To LMT, which is Lockheed Martin. Again, kind of hard to think that with all the war, pestilence, and destruction going on, these guys couldn't be doing any better. What would happen if they don't have any war anymore? 445, kind of hanging around. What is the last tick here? 447.62 on the sideways. Lumina, another one of these big candles. And again, who knows how much this had to do with, quote, quote, a flash crash today. Not a lot of volume, but just slightly higher than it was yesterday on the exit close. MMM. Now, this one is a wacky candle out here. Got down to 102.58. Got us, almost as back up to the highs. Right now, 116.02, but some extremely wide-ranging candles. And I bet if we go back and look, that would be on the open. One that is not giving an ambiguous signal for us is PACCAR. This has broken through the last previous high of November 23rd that had 2 million shares. You got 5 million shares. There may be a little bit too much here. So I might take the money either today or tomorrow if I was long this, but it's probably going to come back to 108 or so. And on light volume, a little consolidation. That is a valid breakout. We'll be back in a minute.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metal sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And as we come back, what are we down 3 points on the S&P cash? We'll see how we close here, but certainly a little bit of problems. It does kind of throw us back to the flash crash where we had Eric Hunsater from Nanex on. And he did yeoman's work for about 4 years or 5 years until he was offered so much money to get out of the business because he was basically showing how everybody was violating the law repeatedly. And of course, nobody in government did anything about it. Not that I was surprised, but a lot of people yelled and screamed about high-frequency trading, and of course, they threw a bunch of money at the politicians, and we didn't get much, if anything, actually done. So I become more and more jaded by every year. But I do digress. Anyway, there was a article out here about what caused the wild price strings, but we can find out generally that we will not know the truth. Like so many things over the last few years, we only find out now the truth, and how much the people that lied to us want to pretend that they didn't lie to us about a whole raft of things. But, man, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. PKI, Perkin Elmer. Yeah, down, not that much volume. Can't say you can see a lot there. Another one in this space with the wild moves. Raytheon. You got some tick out here at 85.45. Now, sometimes this is done to mess up everybody's charts. And, of course, back on the flash crash, what was it, a handful of days before we started moving back lower and eventually retesting that low that most people didn't think we were going to get? But, you never know. Anyway, who knows what's real and what's not? But that's the whole world right now, isn't it? Anyway, the only thing you can know for sure is that it did trade at 98.92, which is a little higher than yesterday. But, man, if you sold at 108 or so, probably patting yourself on the back at the moment. Now, this one also curiouser and curiouser is one of the den favorites. I sometimes call them fanboys in the den because it seems to ruffle feathers, and I like to do that. That's just me. We got to stir the pot every once in a while. It gets too quiet in the den. Certainly on this one, very interesting to see what most people would say as a fairly good news item. One thing I was watching once they brought that up went back and looked at the time and sales. Someone actually dropped 14,000 shares on this thing immediately when the news came out. I'm not exactly sure what they saw in it. Of course, the question on this one is there's always a lot of people, both long and short. If we go back to Jesse Livermore, which I love, he always says, you never really know the true story a lot of times for days, weeks, or months. So you better get on the move and execute while you can before you're left behind. Let's take a quick look at this one here. On the daily stuff, has it been worse? Probably the more interesting thing is that the short percentage yesterday on a daily basis shrank to 17%, where many times it's above 30. Most of the time it'd be 25 to 28%. So I think, 20% on Friday. So the last couple of days, you had the shorts kind of giving up. And that's why I kind of preach a lot where when the shorts give up, it's something that you want to keep an eye out. In fact, let's just take a quick look here, and I'll highlight the short percentages for Sava over the last few days. But it's not uncommon to see when the shorts give up that a stock actually has some fairly large swings. But yeah, 17% yesterday, 20% the day before. Now, these are the FINRA numbers, and that FINRA number only means that there was a trade that was originated as a short. Doesn't mean that they didn't cover it before the end of the day. And to the closing price at 36.44 yesterday was higher. Maybe a lot of people just decided it was time to get out. But again, almost always when I see a heavily shorted stock and they quit shorting, you're pretty close to the time where actually some downside comes in. So just a thought out there. Okay. Yep. Anyway, huge volume. Lots of shares available instantly when this came out. And the only thing I can think is that someone was looking for something a whole lot better than it was. And, you never, unless, if you're watching it all the time, some stock or a particular stock, sometimes you get a good feel for it. But I don't see anything that really gave anybody a good feel other than the fact that this everybody kind of gave up the last 2 days before this thing turned, and that's what you want to look for. You're back into the previous low, didn't quite hit it today, that December 28th low with 1.3 million shares at $27. You got 27.63. My guess is with all the volume today, you're probably looking for this thing to hit 27 on light volume, and then you might find some kind of low. Until then, maybe more gambling than prudent speculation. Other things going on, Thermo, Nuclear Fisher Scientific, which is what I'd call them if I worked there. A huge, nasty Janet Jackson, nasty candle blotting out the sun for Thermo Fisher, TMO, huge dark cloud cover, but not much in the way of volume so far. Again, a lot of very strange action in the market. TRV, the Travelers Companies, this insurance company, not like Brown & Brown, looking a little bit better. Unfortunately, it's now in the center of this candle from the 17th that had a huge amount of volume on the way down, 3.9 million shares. You're filling that today with 1.3 million shares. UNP, again, one of these things where hopefully they'll clean up the data, and if they erase any of the trades for this morning, maybe that gets handled. But what we have now is kind of reminds me of World War II, and that is when they were going after the Nazis. And we'll continue this on the other side. Anyway, when they were coming after the Nazis in the U-boats, they dropped some depth charges on them. We'll talk about that when we return.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
And let's see what we have here. Ron says, can we look at Abel Marley? I guess it was on television a minute ago. He also says that it looks like conspiracy theories, conspiracy theorists are 68-0 now for the last 2 years. Does kind of make me want to just wrap my head in duct tape to keep it from exploding every time I turn on the news now and find out that something that they were yelling and screaming about, well, they apparently didn't know anything about. And, of course, had nothing to do with the truth. So I continue to always look at any news source as a potential propaganda outlet. And generally when everybody's going one way, good time to start thinking the other. 877-927-6648. He popped up a little bit. Kind of interesting to see the action between, what was it up here that we looked at? In phase being just a hair lower out here. Of course, I think part of that is a lot of the tax breaks that were set up aren't really for the cars that those guys are going to be put in there in the more expensive units, which aren't really up for the tax credits. One of the things that they did for the tax credits for EVs, of course, was write them so Tesla would not get them. Tesla then had the huge price cut, which caused a lot of problems with people that they had just sold product to. I don't know if they're going to do anything about it, but certainly Tesla dropping that price meant that everybody was going to get about an extra $7,500. That's not just here in the United States. There were a lot of them that did it. They basically just followed the same rule, including in China. And, of course, by dropping it, now getting the tax credits, at least a lot of people think that you have some huge sales coming back into Tesla. But shouldn't that push in phase two? A little bit. Anyway, I don't see what's going on with, or anything really going on with lithium right now, other than just kind of a big trading range. Okay, what else do we have? UNP. Yeah. What is it? How bad is it? How bad is the data? I don't know. Maybe these charts are just trash for a while. There are enough that don't have this problem that'll probably try to avoid this, like I tried to avoid the 9/11 day. That's kind of faded away. But certainly, if you're a technical analyst, what is the truth here? I have no idea. When I have no idea, there are a lot of fish in the sea. I don't have to trade these in particular. But certainly, if you had an advantage, it it's going to be tough to continue that on in any of these that are so messed up on the day. Verizon, as we take a look at another one that it can't be the truth, right? When you look at these, you know that there's whatever happened in here was either a con job or something else. And of course, after they close tonight, they may reverse some of those trades. They, in the past, have not done that during the day. I don't know why. If I knew that, I would just say at the beginning, if you knew it and it got halted, I'd just halt them for the whole day if I was the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, and then not worry about invalidate all the trades. Come back tomorrow when we know it's all cleaned up. But, you know, over the years, I've learned to see that they do, or at least can look the other way. For a number of years, I spent a lot of time with price and volume. For a number of years, from around 2000 to 2003, it was not uncommon for many of the broker-dealers to report double volume in a particular stock to get interest toward it. They would report both the buys and sells to double the volume. And then when it went down, they would, on days that happened, they would only count it as one, a buy and a sell together as one share trading instead of two. And that went on for a number of years. A couple people, I think, ended up going to jail on it. Most skated past, but they eventually just labeled what it was, which was an open fraud on the market. But I don't know if you're going to get much of that today. Yeah, there's a lot of them are messed up. SLGN, we'll take a look at. You got to think that that's slogan, right? That would be, if your company was named Slogan, it's Silligan, which who knows what that is supposed to actually mean. I bet it's somebody's name, right? But certainly, what would you do? Manufacturer sells rigid packing for consumer goods products in North America. So it's kind of like an international paper thing in that same vein. A warehouser. It operates through three segments: dispensing and specialty closures, metal containers, and custom containers. So containers and more. Anyway, custom container for pet food, vegetables, soups, proteins, tomato-based products. Does that mean ketchup? What is a tomato-based product? Is there so little tomato in ketchup that it's not tomato? And adult nutritional drinks. I don't know. Is that, what is an adult nutritional drink? Does that mean alcohol, or does that mean that kids probably wouldn't like it? Probably bean and carrot extract, something like that? Don't know. Anyway, fruits and other miscellaneous food products. Got to be insured. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Insure. Yeah, okay. You got to think about all that stuff. Vitamin fortified whiskey. It makes me think of that Fireball company that's getting sued now because they had this Fireball whiskey that actually had whiskey in it. They made the little tiny ones. And then they put the other ones, which couldn't have much alcohol in it, in the regular store. But of course, they were such tiny little bottles with 5-point type on it that no one noticed the difference between the ones they sold in the liquor store and the ones that they sold in the grocery store. So they marked them up at the same price. But one didn't have whiskey and the other one did. Now those guys are in legal limbo on here. Now on this one, you got about half the volume. I don't see anything today that would tell me that anything else happened. The only good thing is you're back into at least support from November 8th out here to November 17th. We'll be back in a minute.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And as we come back to wrap up the show, basically S&P's flat, Nasdaq's down 0.2%, Dow's up almost 0.4%. Russell's basically flat. Crude down almost 2%. Gold up about 0.5%. And yeah, I haven't changed any on my view in gold, and that is that you're probably in a seventh wave. It's one of those things where you're just going to sit on your hands for a very long time. You'll probably never get a huge pullback in a seventh wave if that's what it is. Big enough to get back into it. It just kind of stumbles up like Otis going to the gel cell in Mayberry RFD. But that's about it. It just continues to slowly trudge higher, not having a lot of action and give you opportunity to trade it. And after 22, 23 years on the move, maybe that is the last big move for gold over any. Seventh waves can take 2 or 3 years. So you can just see that. And, of course, it wouldn't be very much different than what we saw in the 80s on raising interest rates and some other issues and high inflation. What did it take to 87 to hit a high? Then it went into hibernation for 13 years, only to come out after the 2000 Y2K event. So, yeah, not a lot there. Again, not a lot of volume after the bell tonight as we discussed. You've got Microsoft. Let's take a look at that real quick. Microsoft comes out at 4:05. Capital One also 4:05. Texas Instrument right when the bell rings. Intuitive Surgical 4:05. Silicon Holdings, which we talked about, unknown, just after the market closed today. FFIV, which is F5 Networks, at 4:05. So we got that, and then we get into tomorrow morning, where there'll be a lot more with AT&T, Boeing, Progressive, and Abbott. Sell when you can, not when you have to. We'll see you here tomorrow. Same bat time.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible.